Am I the asshole for telling my wife our daughter will not be given a unique or weird hippie name? My wife and I are expecting a baby girl in March. We have not yet decided on a name, and it's becoming worrying that we might not reach an agreement on what to call our daughter. We have very different ideas about what the name should be. My wife likes nothing too classic and normal like the names I have suggested: Elizabeth, Emily, Natasha, Hannah, Catherine, Francesca, Matilda, Annabelle, Isabel, Vivian, Sadie, and many others. My wife has suggested some names I would consider far more modern, and she likes unique and or names I find very hippie: Sky, Indy, River, Ocean, Seraphina, Atlas, Clove, Dove, Asteria, Linux, Ember, Winter. We have thrown out hundreds if not thousands of names, and any time I ask her why she dislikes any of the more known common classic names, she said she likes none of them. She either finds them boring or old-leaning, and she doesn't like that. I told her it would be better for our child to grow up with a name that sounds normal versus one made up to be unique. She told me she would never agree to a name like Elizabeth or Amelia, another name I suggested. I told her I will not agree to a unique or weird hippie name for our daughter. She told me it's why we're still looking, and I told her that the names of late have been worse from her. She told me the feeling is mutual and I am not going to force her to change her taste. She also told me my description of her names is unfair and there's nothing that unique about most of them, and I simply reject everything that's a little more modern leaning in usage. We took some time after that and have not returned to names in about 4 days. I can see she's bothered by my choice of words, but I can see she's also frustrated and feels our daughter's due date looming over us as well. Am I the asshole? Info: What about floral-based names? They are historically used but also frilly and nudge that hippie trend your wife likes. Flora, daisy, poppy, rose, lily, jade, plant, and jewel violet. Nah. Have you looked at names that are both kinda normal and nature inspired? I'm thinking things like rose, fern, violet, lily, or even summer. Or are they not unique enough for her? First, you both need to be able to compromise. This will not be the last time. Second, try the following. You need to find a solution both can accept. I recommend you have a nice dinner and both be in a very positive mood. Then you each get the task of finding 5 names you think the other would like and you do not hate the most yourself. Write them all down and let them grow on you. Find the compromise. Another option. Try and have a talk. What do you each want? You wife want something unique, and with a certain vibe you want something more traditional. Go through old names, there might be one you can both accept like Elvina. But the important thing is you do it together, because right now you are each in a corner saying no to everything. Get out of the corner. ESH. It feels like at this point you're both rejecting names for the sake of rejecting them and refusing to let the other win. I recommend you both drop the subject for at least a week, then come together and figure it out, because if you can't work together to pick a damn name for your child, then you aren't going to work as parents. ESH. Serafina is an Italian Hebrew name from the 13th century and the name of a saint. ESH. It's okay to have different preferences, but you two are insulting each other. You'll need to compromise. Maybe each of you can choose a name. Have you looked into classic names that are unique? Ophelia, Aurora, Penelope, Cecilia, Eliza, Juliet. All these names are not as common anymore and still beautiful and not outlandish. It's the beginning of your journey as parents. You have to learn compromise. Now you each have a preference, you can't change that. Why not compromise and have a first and middle name? When the kid grows up they can settle on which they prefer to be called. Like, Elizabeth River surname. I have a friend whose wife is Hungarian and strongly wanted the kids to have Hungarian names. He didn't want them to have unpronounceable names and strongly wanted traditional English names so they wouldn't be singled out, picked on for being immigrants or something they're not, but racist be racist. They compromised and gave them both, e.g. their boy is called John, Josh surname, and he has chosen all through his life to be known as Matthias, not John. But he had the option of being John if he wanted. Their girl is Chilla Ann and prefers to be called Ann. Nah, but some of the names you said your wife mentioned are as far from hippie and modern as you can go. Seraphina and Asteria, for example. Asteria is a name from Greek mythology. Seraphina is late Latin, a medieval name famously borne by a 13th century Italian saint and a Sforza noblewoman. You are absolutely fine for having name preferences, but it seems like you've just decided that everything your wife suggests is modern and hippie even when it's very clearly not. ESH. Because it doesn't seem like you're trying to compromise, but rather feels like you're both entrenched on your preferences. My wife and I are from very different cultures, living in yet another. Suffice to say the overlap in good names was very limited, and there wasn't exactly in a handy little book or website. If you are from culture X and Y and also want a name appropriate for culture Z, these are some good names. Take a step back, identify underlying reasons for accepting or rejecting names. Neither it's unique nor it's traditional will do. What positive or negative result do you expect, fear, hope for? And since it's always a matter of getting used to a name, how about rather than looking at your preferences, instead immerse yourself in the other person's preferences? So you go and read website, books, whatever with unique or weird hippie names and pick out 10, 20, 100 that you do like, and she pick out the same number of classic or normal names. And yes, I put those descriptions in quotes, because you're not even trying to be fair there. You know what turned unique or weird into classic or normal? People using those names. It kind of sounds like your wife is trying to compromise and you're not. She told me it's why we're still looking, and I told her that the names of late have been worse from her. How is that helpful? Based on this info, I would say you're the asshole. You have to compromise. I'm sure there's a name out there that you both like. But more importantly, you should listen to her opinions and work as a team, not against each other. What about Willow? Love that name. Seraphina is not a hippie name, it's a classic name. It comes from the same Hebrew root word where we derive seraphim, which is the highest choir of angels. That's just one example. If you look, you'll be able to find classical names that would also tickle your wife's hippie bone.